with name, image, and likeness, these collectives, college players getting money. When do we get to a point where a running back might actually consider sticking around college rather than going to the NFL on a rookie deal where if you're awesome, you're not going to get paid because they're just going to draft your replacement?
No, that's an interesting question because, like, the thing with the NIL is some people are making money.
Yeah.
Most people are not. But if you get to the place of being like the basketball equivalent of what's my man's name at Kentucky, Oscar Sweetbay.
Yeah.
Like if you get to that point, well, yeah, maybe you should stick around because the money's going to be for you here. And to be honest, the rest of your life is probably going to be in whatever that town is because you can live on scholarship forever. Like that's probably what's going to happen. But what you describe is very similar to what women's basketball players are talking about in many cases. It is a lot more bread for them sticking around in college than there is to go to the WNBA. Now, the difference there is no brand loyalty and identity to the teams in the WNBA. Therefore, there's not a reason for people to pay attention. So the money's not going to be there. Like until there becomes a WNBA team that somebody cares about, then
I agree with UConn.
Like you're not gonna have that. Like the NCAA is a brand, the WNBA is a brand that just doesn't match up. Like I think that's a big part of what the situation is. But for these running backs, it's just a market inefficiency with the way that the NFL works. It's too risky, they determined, to throw a bunch of money fresh out of school at guys. That's why we saw the Ricky Wade scale come into play in 2011. But unlike literally every other position, running backs are going to be as good as they're going to be in the first 5 years. So the rookie contract is the time where they have the best chance to earn. But then once they get to the back end, they're like, oh, boy, look at that odometer. Sure got a lot of miles on you, buddy. And then there's no money left to be made. Like, they're going to have to figure out some quirk that allows running backs to get out of their deals early if there's any chance that they're going to be paid fairly. Now, what I want to see is how many are colleges going to get to a point where they start tricking dudes like they used to trick the dudes that wanted to be quarterbacks? Like, oh, yeah, sure, you'll be a quarterback. And then you get on campus, and then a week later, you backpedaling?
Yeah.
Are they going to have to do that but running backs? Like, yeah, we'll give you some reps at receiver. Sure.
You'll be a slot receiver.
But I guess Saquon Barkley is a prime example of this. Christian McCaffrey was a prime example of this. There's been evolutions at every position. We talk about the evolution of the quarterback. Well, there's been an evolution of the running back position. I don't know. For some reason, it just came to mind back. Well, this must have been an old Bomani and Jones bit where, what was it? It was a brand change. What was it?
Hornets.
No. 2 Chainz used to be Titty Boy, right?
Oh, yeah. We did that about the Hornets. Yeah, but it was okay, like the example was 2 Chainz.
All right, so he's like, you're not going to get anywhere named Titty Boy, but 2 Chainz, now we're talking. Can you do that with running backs? Could you just rename the position to something else?
I mean, maybe. Did you know that the value for the franchise tag has fallen in the last 5 years?
It's the only position in the NFL where it's fallen. The kicker's making more, man.
The craziest thing I've heard, and I guess part of it was, when you go back, you still had like an Adrian Peterson type or whatever at the high end of it to kind of, to keep that top 5 number up. So when they tagged you, you went from there. But if you're Saquon Barkley, no, I'm not going out there to do that for $10 million a year. No. That's crazy. And one of these cats is just going to have to decide, I ain't coming. The fear is Aaron Schatz in the Football Almanac in the first page typically makes the point, sacks are a quarterback stat. Rushing yards are an offensive line stat. And so these teams believe, okay, we'll just be able to throw somebody else out here. The Mike Shanahan thing, right?
This is who I blame.
Yeah, we'll just throw somebody else in here, and boom, you'll figure it out. And there's some systems where that work, but I still believe that a truly special running back matters. Case in point, yes, the Rams won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago, but we ain't called Sean McVay a genius since he had peak Ty Gurley. We just haven't done it. We saw what happened with the 49ers last year when they went and got Christian McCaffrey. Did they lose another game in the regular season? Like, it was something crazy after they went and got him. Yeah, so if you got one of those guys that matters, like you about to see about Bijan. Like, Bijan is going to take the league by storm when he comes in, but when's he going to get paid?
See, you want to get rid of that Texas fan in you, but you can't.
No. That's not about Texas fan. That's just about not being blind.
Fair enough.
Like Bijan's one of those where you watch and you're like, oh my chest. Like they don't make a lot of these. Like comparing his college stuff to Saquon Barkley's, I don't think there's any comparison. Like I think Bijan is just just next level.
All right, so I need you to help me out with the economics of this as well. Your true specialty here. So the Washington football team sold for $6 billion. Yes. And the best thing that Josh Harris has going for him as the majority owner of the team is that he's not Dan Snyder. So salute. That's only going to last so long in DC. But for now, hey man, you ain't Dan, so you're good. But the Hornets just got approved, and Michael Jordan's about to sell his majority stake in the Hornets for $3 billion. So I'm a little, I know $3 billion is a lot of money in terms of difference, but I almost feel like the Washington football team might have been a little bit of a discount if the Hornets, who haven't not really been much of anything in the NBA under Michael Jordan the last 13 years, are going for $3. Am I misreading this?
Well, my read on that is if you were to just go off the financials of that team and what they've been, it's probably not up to $6 billion.
Okay.
Right? Snyder has done such a poor job running that team that he probably could get it on some little measure of a discount for that reason, right? They got a bad stadium situation.
Yeah.
Everything else that we could kind of run through. So maybe that's where you get in that direction. At the same time, man, it's $6 billion is a ridiculous number. Like, when I think about what the numbers were that teams used to fetch, like Dan Snyder paying $800 million for that team in 1998 or 99, whichever year it was a staggering sum. He got the team and the stadium for that.
I was going to say, the stadium.
Stadium was part of that.
That's nuts. That's nuts. My big problem with that deal they got right now is them trotting Magic Johnson out there like he the owner.
Right.
Magic Johnson out here doing these interviews like, oh, yeah, as a black man to be an owner of a team. Dog, you are not the owner of this team. It is like, it's dishonest the way that the league is trotting him out. And I'm disappointed that he's allowing himself to be a party to it. Magic Johnson, as rich as he is, will never be rich enough to buy an NFL team. Like, that's what people need to understand. Like, we need a black owner. Every single one of us going to have to put our money together in order to buy a team. It had to be all our team. We just keep it at Magic's house, whoever it happened to be.
It's like 4%. the Green Bay Packers, but with black ownership.
Yes. The Green Bay Blackers. That's what we would be. But the money is so thrown off in this that it just feels so dishonest trotting Magic out there to be like, oh man, as a black man, this makes me so proud.
Is that
they ain't even got to listen to you in meetings at 4%.
Is that different than what Jordan did with his original stake in the Hornets?
Well, at least he took the stake and turned it into legitimate majority control. Like, he was somebody.
Magic's never doing that.
Yeah, by the time he got to the end. And I would also like to take this moment while we're here. Mike did a better job as the owner of that team than people want to give him credit for.
Sure.
He took over for a guy that I was told was charging the players for Gatorade.
No.
Yeah, Bob Johnson was notorious for.
That's what I'm saying. Like, people have no idea how terrible Bob was. And I think that part of that was, he's the first black owner, so people want to act like they was on the right side. But the first black owner was that black guy. Like, if you'd asked black people about it, we'd have been like, bro, I don't know if that's the move you want to make. But Mike had to clean that up. And so if nothing else, the Hornets are just there, which was not the case with the Bobcats. They were there and they stunk.
I guess that gets us into the existential question of, is there such a thing as a good owner, or are there just bad ones and you look good by comparison?
That, to me, is the question I was thinking about the other day. Like, being an owner is kind of like being a university president. People don't like very many of them. Right? If you're lucky, they don't really talk about you. But in the NBA, who would we deem to be a good owner? And to me, the good owner is generally just one that's willing to spend. But then you go look at Dan Snyder, who was willing to spend, and he was terrible at how he went about the spending. Joe Lacob, it's hard not to argue that Joe Lacob is a good owner. Steve Ballmer, in the name of, look what I did with this trash organization that I got my hands on. I think I would argue.
Though.
Yeah, Mickey Arison.
I always get back to.
In spite of being a little bit thrifty, I would still make the argument that he's a good owner. After that, man, it gets a little tricky trying to identify who the actual good owners are.
But then you bring up Mickey Arison or other owners, or in the case of Dan Snyder, there's this weird, this kind of ties back to the running backs as well. Typically in American culture, it's about the worker. Like we're all kind of complaining about ownership. Man, I'm not getting what my worth is. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. And people prey on that. Yet when it comes to sports, we're never siding on the side of the players. We actually start to feel sorry for owners. And there is a weird ownership class, was it simping, that takes place sometimes in media, where I'm not going to feel bad for Dan Snyder and all the things that are going on, because look at what he just turned that team around for doing a terrible job.
Peter Carmanos
cashed out and he was broke.
Yeah.
Okay. Broke
by his own kid.
Okay. And then in the case of Michael Jordan, say what you want, the results for Michael Jordan weren't great, but he still turned a minority investment into a $3 billion sale. So it's the classic case of, you're not making money while you own the team. You make the money when you sell the team. So why is anybody feeling sorry for owners during the run?
Because we are Americans.
Yeah.
And we believe in this capitalism in a very, very, very disturbing sort of way. The other part, and it can't be ignored. Now, granted, like when you throw hockey in this, it gets a little wonky. But still, this part can't be ignored. Football and basketball in particular, the players are overwhelmingly brown.
Mm-hmm.
The owners are overwhelmingly white.
Mm-hmm.
And people know what team they're on.
Yeah.
And they jump on team white. They jump on team green. And they just absolutely ride it out. Because I'm with you. Like, one thing that's interesting, you watch over there in Europe, people take to the streets to protest about their soccer teams.
Yeah,
right?
that Super League did not get very far.
People
an American idea
rejected that outright. Go get the streets.
They demand something different over there. Now, it's that part of it is interesting with soccer because a lot of the team identification for fans is because of like real social, like labor conditions, not just I'm from here, that sort of thing. But no, man, they keep kissing these owners' asses at every turn in this, and this amazing ability to rationalize and understand the business decisions that these owners need to make. And it's funny because as soon as they get laid off, they greedy, you know?
Maybe that explains why country music, as somebody I saw on Twitter put it, is now narc rock. And country music used to be, hey man, 16 tons, what's it get me? Another day shorter and $1 a dead, or however the lyric goes. Or, I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die, to hey, you put some respect on the authority, okay?
Hey, I mean, booting your ass is the American way, right? Like it seemed to really go there. Like, there's this book I tried to read called Rednecks and Blue Necks or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It tried to make this argument about like left and right politics through the sphere of country music. But the problem was I stopped reading because I got so many pages through and didn't see the word black come up one time, right? In terms of the explanation of what's going on. But when you go back, like, I hit this big like Willie and Waylon phase not too long ago. Yeah, that's pretty left-wing stuff.
Seriously, go back, read the lyrics of the stuff that was, outlaw country. Go look at Willie now when he does the Farm Aid and the various other. Willie's coming through the triangle again. He's very outspoken about this stuff, and I'm always curious when the change happened to the bro country, where we'd rather be sitting about blue jeans. Bo Burnham did a bit about this back in 2016. Where it's like, all right, let me strum. I got to mention the blue jeans. I got to mention the old dirt road and my truck, rather than talking about the man. Beer. Don't forget the beer. Rather than the man is out to screw you. Look for yourself.
Yeah, I would just like to make the note that the baddest man working in music today is Sturgill Simpson, and we are going in the opposite direction. And music is so much more interesting, like actual critiques of the war machine.
Yeah.
Telling people, don't think going to the Navy is what you want to do if all you're trying to do is pay your bills.
What's the last track on Sailor's Story? Guys, Sailor's Guide to Earth?
Call to Arms?
Call to Arms. Go listen to Call to Arms. Go listen to that record.
Dude, Sea Stories was the one, though. What are you talking about? With flying high beats dying for lies in a politician's war?
No, man, he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant.
How does he do that?
And he's also talking about...
How does he remember?
Because it's Bomani.
What in the world?
Because I've listened to that record a lot.
No, I know, but
still,
like, you just... I get focused on the, smoking a little smoke and playing Nintendo 64 and GoldenEye. That's the one I focus on. He's focused on this other stuff.
Well, once I realized that the GoldenEye thing wasn't nearly as relatable to me as I thought it was, I was like, oh, you're talking about somebody shooting up and playing GoldenEye. My bad.
Different one. All right, we'll go on this. $6 billion is a lot of money. There's only so many people who can afford $6 billion in the NFL, and there's going to be more sales down the line. But no NFL team's ever going to sell to a Saudi investment fund, are they?
Man, I have been thinking and wondering.
The NFL is the one league that won't do it.
I'll take it.
Because I can see, we've already seen this with the NBA. I can see this happening in Major League Baseball. I can see it happening with the investment in soccer. But the NFL is run a little bit differently. They don't want that live crisis. They don't.
I think it's two things. One, I just don't think they have to, right? Like, I think
Okay,
the line of people that want to buy an NFL team is so long that they're not in that place. But I think the other thing that people have to remember is the NFL really wants, like, the top levels of the American industrial class to own teams. Like, they were really charged up about the idea of the Waltons buying in and getting the Broncos, which means, by the way, the Waltons own 2 teams, if you want to count Kroenke as an in-law. Like,
Sure.
That's what they want. They're not just at the, hey, you got the money, come on in. Like, I don't know if they would have taken Jimmy Haslam again the way the NBA just took Jimmy Haslam to buy that share of the Bucks. But what I'm trying to figure out is what happens when the public investment fund tries to buy the Yankees or the Lakers. This is the thing that I said from the very beginning. Both of them have second-generation ownership levels where the kids don't really want the team.
Yeah.
And with the Lakers, it's the case where all their money is tied up in the team. With the Yankees, I believe it's Hal that's got it now because I think Hank died. Forgive me, I get those two mixed up. But he doesn't really want a baseball team. If you're the Saudi Public Investment Fund, I don't know why you don't drop $10 billion and try to get the Yankees. Dare them to tell you no, because they're not. I was talking to Spencer about this last night. It's not like they buy stuff trying to get a return. They buy stuff because they don't have anything else to do with the money.
Yeah.
They have so much money that they've basically paid for everything they need in their country, right? Now, you can make the argument. Maybe you guys need to start figuring out how to air condition outside, right? Like, maybe that's what they need to put all their stuff to figure out how to make that work. Put a whole dome over this. Okay, maybe that's it. But they got nothing else to do with the money.
No.
Yeah, there's only so many coffee cans you can bury out in the desert, man.
Yeah. Like, I don't think they're trying to launder their image. I think if you got all this money, the only way you justify it is to spend it.
Yeah, makes total sense. Makes total sense. Bomani, hey, man, good catching up. We'll talk to you later.
All right, man. You guys be good.